Have you noticed? The charm of vintage is making a grand comeback. Vintage is back in style. From furniture to decor, people are embracing the old world charm. People are rediscovering the beauty of old things. There's something magical about items that have stood the test of time. It's a trend that's sweeping the world of home decor. But why now? What is it about vintage that captivates us so deeply? Vintage pieces have a certain charm. They tell a story. Each scratch, each worn edge, speaks of a life lived. They whisper of times gone by. Each piece is unique, carrying with it a history that new items simply can't replicate. It has its own history. Imagine the stories these items could tell if they could speak. It adds character to your home. Mixing vintage with modern elements creates a unique and personalized space. Vintage decor can transform a space. It can turn a plain room into a cozy, inviting haven. It can make it feel warm and inviting. There's a sense of comfort and nostalgia that vintage items bring. It adds a touch of nostalgia. Old photographs, heirlooms, and vintage radios remind us of simpler times. Imagine cozying up in a room filled with vintage finds. The warmth and character of these items create a unique atmosphere. It's like stepping back in time. Each piece takes you on a journey to a different era. Are you ready to bring some vintage charm into your home? It's easier than you think. Let's explore the world of vintage decor together. From finding the perfect pieces to incorporating them into your space, the journey is as rewarding as the destination. Start by visiting local flea markets, antique shops, or even online marketplaces. You never know what treasures you might find. And don't be afraid to get creative. Restoring and repurposing old items can be a fun and fulfilling project. The key is to blend the old with the new, creating a harmonious balance that reflects your personal style. So embrace the allure of vintage. Let it transform your home into a space filled with stories, character, and charm. After all, there's nothing quite like the timeless beauty of vintage decor.
One of the best things about vintage decor is its uniqueness. You won't find these pieces in every store. Each item is special. It has its own personality. Imagine finding a one-of-a-kind vintage rug. It could be the perfect addition to your living room, or a set of antique teacups for your next gathering. These pieces spark conversation. They become talking points for your guests. Vintage decor lets you express your individuality. You can curate a collection of items that reflect your personal style. It's about creating a space that feels authentically you.
In a world of fast fashion, where trends change almost overnight and clothing racks are constantly being refreshed with the latest styles and disposable goods that are designed to be used briefly and then discarded, vintage stands out as a beacon of sustainability and timelessness. It offers a sustainable approach to decorating your home, one that values quality and history over the fleeting allure of the new. By giving old items a new life, you're reducing waste significantly. Each piece of furniture or decor that you restore or repurpose is one less item that ends up in a landfill. You're keeping them out of landfills, where they would contribute to the growing problem of waste and pollution. Think about it. Instead of buying a brand new mass-produced item, you're choosing something with history, something that has a story to tell. You're giving it a second chance, allowing it to continue its journey and add character to your living space. It's a responsible and eco-friendly way to decorate, one that aligns with a growing awareness of our environmental impact. Plus, vintage pieces are often made with higher quality materials and craftsmanship. These items were built in a time when durability and longevity were paramount. They were built to last, to withstand the test of time, and to be passed down through generations. Choosing vintage is a win-win for you and the planet. Not only do you get to enjoy unique, well-crafted items, but you also contribute to a more sustainable and environmentally friendly way of living. When you shop for vintage, you're also supporting small businesses and artisans who specialize in restoring and selling these treasures. These skilled individuals put time and effort into bringing old items back to life, ensuring that each piece is not only beautiful, but also functional. The blend of old and new creates a unique aesthetic that can't be replicated with mass-produced items. It's a style that tells a story and adds depth to your home. So next time you're looking to decorate or furnish your home, consider going vintage. It's a choice that benefits you, your home, and the planet. After all, every vintage piece has a past, and by choosing it, you're giving it a future.
Section 5. Online marketplaces, vintage finds at your fingertips. The internet has made it easier than ever to find vintage treasures. Online marketplaces are a convenient way to shop for vintage decor from the comfort of your own home. Etsy is a popular platform for vintage and handmade goods. You can find everything from furniture to clothing to home decor. eBay is another great option for finding a wide range of vintage items. Be sure to check the seller's ratings and reviews before making a purchase.
Section 6. The thrill of the hunt, Brick-and-Mortar Adventures. While online shopping is convenient, there's something special about the thrill of the hunt when it comes to vintage decor. It's about the experience of browsing through aisles of treasures, discovering hidden gems, and haggling for the best deals. Visit your local thrift stores, antique shops, and flea markets regularly. The inventory changes frequently, so you never know what you might find. Don't be afraid to haggle with sellers. You might be surprised at the deals you can get.
Section 7. Creating a cohesive vintage aesthetic. Once you've started collecting vintage pieces, it's time to think about how to incorporate them into your home decor. This can be a fun and creative process, but it can also be a bit challenging. The goal is to blend these unique items seamlessly into your existing space, creating a look that is both stylish and inviting. The key is to create a cohesive look that feels both stylish and inviting. This means thinking about how each piece works with the others, as well as with the overall design of your home. You don't want your space to feel cluttered or disjointed, so it's important to be thoughtful about your choices. Start by choosing a color palette. This will help guide your decisions and ensure that everything works together harmoniously. Vintage decor often works well with warm, earthy tones like browns, which can create a cozy and inviting atmosphere. Greens and golds are also great choices as they can add a touch of elegance and sophistication to your space. Consider the overall style of your home. If you have a modern home, you can add vintage touches to warm it up. This can be done through small accents like vintage lamps, picture frames, or even a statement piece of furniture. Blending modern and vintage decor can create a unique and eclectic look that is truly your own. It's all about finding the right balance and making sure that the vintage pieces complement the modern elements, rather than clash with them. If you have a more traditional home, vintage decor can enhance its charm. Think about incorporating items like antique mirrors, vintage rugs, or classic artwork. These pieces can add a sense of history and character to your space, making it feel more lived in and loved. Don't forget about the smaller details. Vintage books, trinkets, and other small decor items can be used to add personality and interest to your space. Arrange them thoughtfully on shelves, coffee tables, or mantels to create visually appealing displays. The final step is to step back and take a look at the overall effect. Make sure everything feels balanced and cohesive. Adjust as needed until you achieve the perfect vintage aesthetic that reflects your personal style and makes your home feel warm and inviting. Section 8. Mixing and Matching, a vintage style guide. Don't be afraid to mix and match different vintage pieces to create a unique and eclectic look. The beauty of vintage decor is that it doesn't have to be perfect. Pair a vintage sofa with modern accent chairs. Mix and match different patterns and textures. Create a gallery wall with vintage artwork and photographs. Let your personality shine through.
Section 9. DIY vintage decor, give old pieces new life. One of the best ways to add a personal touch to your vintage decor is to give old pieces new life with DIY projects. With a little creativity and some basic DIY skills, you can transform vintage finds into unique and stylish pieces that reflect your personal style. Give an old dresser a fresh coat of paint and new hardware. Reupholster a vintage chair with a modern fabric. Turn old windows into picture frames. The possibilities are endless.